Holy hell and happy Monday. Between 12 hours to do a 2.5-hour flight to get to New York, to seeing Boy George in a freaking musical, to amazing food, and we've walked almost 50,000 steps in 2 days. Happy Monday. Holy hell. What a freaking trip already. Good times, and we've been in speakeasies, all kinds of places. And we have a favorite bartender now, Sean. Sean's a really cool guy in the Irish pub right below us, so that's awesome. So how the hell is everybody else's weekend?
Good.
Not that fun.
Not nearly as fun it sounds like yours has been.
Dude, if it could go wrong on a flight trying to get here, it went wrong.
Murphy's
Literally
Law in
12
action.
hours to do 2.5.
No.
Yep.
So
You can literally get to the other side of the world.
yeah.
12 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Peyton's got some new microphones.
Oh, yeah. So Donnie took his flight on Friday, so I flew in yesterday because I had some events in person I had to do. I packed up all of my gear, put it in the car because I was like, I'm done with that in person. I need just a small setup that I'm going to take to New York. I get to the airport, get through security, sit down at my gate, and I realize I did not pack microphones.
Oh, no.
So I look at my flight, and I'm like, oh, it's delayed 3 hours. Oh, I'm not going back home. I can just go to Best Buy. It's right there. So I just Ubered to Best Buy, bought $400 microphones, Ubered back, and still had 2 hours of layover time where I was just sitting back waiting for the flight. And so, yeah, as soon as I get back home, I guess I'm returning these expensive-ass microphones. They work, but, oh, they're so nice. They're the same model that I have, except the newer model. And I just want the shiny new thing. I just want to keep the shiny.
Of course.
If you want to see a group of 40-somethings all stand up and cheer, watch Boy George do an entire musical, but at the end, break out and start singing his own songs like Do You Want to Hurt Me? Become a Chameleon. Dude, we lost our fucking minds. It was spectacular. So, but we actually found a pretty cool little place. We're in a 4-story, almost like a brownstone. Only problem is we're on what they're calling the 3rd floor, which is actually the 4th floor, and no elevator. So every time we go up to the room, we're walking 3-4 flights of stairs. Because,
No matter how drunk.
yeah, yours truly did all the research to get this place. So, which meant no research. It was a good time, though. Good time. But again, let's play a game, Peyton. Hopefully I can hear you.
Okay. All right, we're going to do Reddit story time. And this one is all about malicious compliance, we should call it. Following the rules to a T and hurting the business or hurting the boss in corporate by doing so. I thought they were funny, but I want to know what you all think if they were malicious in doing these things.
No, this is too much.
I know, I'll read it. As a project coordinator, they just keep track of everyone's tasks. He gave his supervisor a heads up that this was getting done, and he said, I don't need babysat. I know what's on my list. All right, you got it. No reminders, no check-ins. Monday morning, he's suddenly in panic mode because the director's asking where the hell it is. Why didn't you remind me? And I just said, you told me not to. And now he thanks me every time because I send him a reminder.
Wow.
I think it was almost necessary evil.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's one of those situations where you have to do a little bit wrong to show that you're right.
Yeah. You fuck up once, but you figure it out right after.
Right.
That's what most of these are, is like you get a new boss that thinks they know it. And then you're like, I'll show you by you fucking up. We're going to find out.
Nice.
So you think malicious or just following command?
Oh, that. Well,
yes is the answer.
yeah, right.
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
I don't think it's malicious. I think it's kind of common sense in a way. But that's just me. I'm like, okay, you told me not to do that. I'm not going to do it anymore. Have fun.
You're going to figure it out, which I think is like slightly malicious, but like to figure it out, you got to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is kind of similar. New manager comes in loud, suddenly no flex hours, no swapping PTOs, and I asked to move 2 days for my cousin's wedding. Sorry, we can't make exceptions to anyone. It wouldn't be fair. All right. Then I request all 23 days of my unused PTO straight through end of quarter, no overlap, no coverage, and it got approved in 10 minutes. Sweet. And then she goes full panic mode. Who's handling your workload? I don't know. I assumed you had a plan. No exceptions, right? She had to cover me and deal with fallout. Stuff piled up. Clients got pissy. I came back to a new HR memo. Managers can now approve flexible PTO on a case-by-case basis. Now, this one feels more malicious than the
A little
last.
bit more. A little bit more.
Yeah,
No, it's not a little bit more. It's totally more.
yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
No, I say maybe not totally called for, but I mean, fucking learn your lesson at that point.
Mhm.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's just a little more than following command.
Yeah, a
Or John said a
little
lot more, all the way more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I feel kind of like the asshole because each of these I'm like, okay, cool.
justified.
Yeah.
At some point, you're like, no, yeah, fuck them up. Especially because it's like, if it's corporate, big office, you're like, they don't care about me.
Yeah.
All right, last one, the weekend guy. Working as a factory inspector, the part I was checking had to be very straight and able to check 400 pieces each night, sometimes less, sometimes more. Monday evening, my foreman told me that the new weekend guy had checked 700 pieces and he expected me to check 700 that night. His numbers were exactly 300 bad and 400 good. These were fake numbers. But I followed procedure, explained to the foreman I was still trying to be as accurate as possible, and got through 650 with around 200 pieces going to scrap. Tuesday night, the foreman stopped me and told me to revert my process as there were too many scrap pieces that made it past us.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
on this one, say it's not malicious at all. He just tried to follow the rules, knowing that the new guy was a fuck up.
Yeah.
So the new guy was Peyton. Got it.
Yeah, yeah,
When you do something long enough, you kind of figure it out, right? And the new guy comes in and all of a sudden he's putting up these type of numbers. You know he's full of shit.
yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was funny that it was exactly 300 good or 300
Right.
bad, 400 good. Like he was like, "How can I make 700? Let's just do 3 and 4."
Right.
That makes sense. Didn't think.
My problem with this is that he didn't hit the 700. He only checked 650 parts. I mean, he missed the
He had
goal.
a weekend. He had a night.
Yeah, he's the night guy, and he had the weekend. The weekend guy was able to do 700, and he was only able to do 650 in a night. I mean, I think he did good because he was still trying to do it to the best of his ability.
I would have fired him.
You know,
for
in
not
theory, he
getting
could have just
700.
taken 50 and tossed them. And be like, yeah,
That's probably what the 400 were.
right.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, but those are my 3 fun stories of corporate work
Hmm.
being slightly malicious for it.
I like it.
All right, Sean. It's your
Hello.
turn in the spotlight now, man. Here we go.
This is Sean Shannon, your outsourced VP of Sales. With over 30 years of sales and marketing experience, Sean is building a sales infrastructure that will drive breakthrough sales results for small to mid-sized businesses, assisting record-breaking growth by assessing your current sales strategy, sales team, and overall organization to implement necessary changes to drive sustained revenue growth. And today he gets the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
Wait, when did Sean become fucking British?
I love that.
This was a test. I don't think I like the AI voice. I tried it and I don't think I like it.
I'm like, wait, Sean is like American. That was British.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, welcome to the show, brother. Good to have you hanging out with us. Tell us a little bit about what you are, what you do, and how we can help.
So I am a recovering broadcaster. Spent 34 years in the radio business, all on the sales side, built sales teams. I was a fix-it guy. So worked for iHeart, worked for Odyssey, worked for Cumulus. Got a sales problem, send me in, fix the sales team. on to the next one 2 years later, come back about 6 years later to fix the one that I already fixed. And spent the last 12 years of my career as a market president. So I had full P&L responsibility for groups of 5 and 6 stations in Seattle, Sacramento, and Atlanta. And was supposed to be 70% sales focused. It was about 70% programming and operations by the end, because the radio business was just doing this in terms of listenership. So I left the business about a year and a half ago and built in the process of building a fractional sales leadership practice. So small, medium-sized business owner, has a sales team of 5, 6, 7, 8 people, and they're still owning the leadership of the sales team. And so they're working in the business instead of on the business. I come in, most of these places, they don't have any documented sales process. So I come in and build out all of the infrastructure that they don't have over the course of a month or two, and then run it for another 8 or 9 months. And then we hire my replacement.
Awesome.
And so I am constantly in search of referral partners who are close with that business owner. So fractional CFOs, business coaches, exit planners, right? So, and so that's, and that's for me to try and find small and medium-sized businesses myself, not going to happen, because there's not a CEO or business owner who is going to tell a complete stranger, hey, my sales are all screwed up. Right? They're going to tell somebody that they trust. And so I'm building my practice off of those referral partners.
So one, I'm glad you still have a face for radio.
Thank you.
2, so the biggest thing is, how do you find those referral partners? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, constantly, and so I do a decent bit of cold outreach on LinkedIn, and that's worked pretty well. Picked up my first couple of clients, doing it that way. But I'm always looking to refine the process, and, expand my network.
So, all right. Well, y'all handle it. I'm going to sit here and look pretty.
That's impossible.
Sean, I'll go first and say that I am in the exact same boat as you. So I get it. It is hard. Because like you said, it's not so much that they won't say that their it takes a little coaxing and a lot of trust for them to hand over their sales. It's less about admitting it and more about like letting go of the control of that, because that's such an important part, because that's the income, that's the revenue. And so letting go of that control is harder than admitting that there's a problem.
Yes.
I think that one of the things that Donnie preaches often is one of the best things for us, which is, Donnie preaches own your own stage, right? I like to get on everybody else's stage if I can. That has become more and more a thing that I have been doing. And last week I did that. I call them the sass brats. I love them. But the sass team, a bunch of kids over in that, I keep calling them kids. I'm so sorry. I think that they're just in their 30s or something. But after that webinar, which was it's a different group of people, right? So I went more outside my current feed on LinkedIn, right? Into a group that had a audience that is not used to seeing me, doesn't know who I am as much, maybe has seen me here or there. And I got an absolute influx of messages and connection requests from my ICP after that webinar. And I think that the key to that, though, is the part where I went outside my normal zone, right? So I found some people who have a different audience that normally see their feed on LinkedIn. So they're not people that are always in my feed. And I think that made a big difference, because instead of most people know my message if they've seen my feed a lot, right? So if I get outside that, then they're like, oh, this is different than you have different things to say than what this group is normally saying, still along the same lines, but it was different to them. So finding those webinars and those stages and making those connections, I think is a really good way to go.
So the question is, how do you find those stages?
Well, and it's from From networking inside those, do you use Sales Navigator?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So in finding the people that are putting on those webinars or following the people who aren't maybe as active as I am on LinkedIn, but like perfect example, my girlfriend is a CMO of a AI consulting firm here in town. She doesn't post very often, but she reshares their webinar postings like almost always. And so being able to go to her feed and find those webinar postings and then make, if it wasn't my friend, I would find those webinar postings, see those webinar postings, make friends with the person who is resharing it all the time, and then find out how I can get on that stage.
Okay.
So, but it does take a lot. It does take a lot of finding the right person and just making, like, I would be happy to refer you to the group that I just did that with.
Yeah, I would love that. Are there keywords when you go into Sales Navigator that you're pumping into the filter?
Not necessarily. I think that CMOs are going to be people who are sharing those webinars all the time and talking about them because that's their baby. And most of the time, so looking more for that than for the CEOs or because I mean, they're probably sharing too, but you'll get CMOs of small and medium businesses who that's what they're promoting is those webinars because they're putting them together and there's some lead magnet that they've got coming after the webinar and da, 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 da. So looking for the marketing team maybe is a good way to go with that.
Yeah. The frustrating part for me too is this. I have done thousands of hours of training with sales teams. I have done hundreds of hours of lecturing because I teach at the University of North Georgia. I taught at the University of Washington. I teach sales. I teach marketing. I have not one video of me on any of that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have, of all the things I've done, I don't have any video or tape of me doing that either. But here's a great thing that you can do to get video. So if getting video is something that you're interested in doing, Liam does this with me all the time. You guys know Liam Darmody is our buddy. Liam will call me and we will just talk. We will just shoot the shit and be recording and then get sound bites from that because we say really smart things when we talk to our friends because our filter is down and we're going at our clip and our light is shining and our energy is buzzing. And so we get really good sound bites out of that. And so it's not actually being on a stage necessarily, but it does give you great video clips that you can use for stuff.
Well, then you should also create your own damn stage. Just start hosting your own free webinars.
Yeah.
At minimum, invite SCN to it and watch all the people that shows up because let's face it, everybody needs sales advice, sales training, sales education of some sort. Part of your job is becoming the face of it, the guy who's teaching it all, delivering it all, bringing it all. In addition to going and finding people sharing these webinars, I found most of my sales training clients, I know you're doing way more than sales training, through, of course, networking, but it was networking with associations, networking with private clubs. It was getting out of your standard, places where everybody networks. So, I'll go back, probably my greatest honey hole, if you will, or fishing hole was the Greater Fort Worth Builders Association. Right? You just deal with a bunch of blue collar dudes, and I didn't want to train the home builders as always. I wanted to train all the vendors that were selling to the home builders, and it just became phenomenal to network in that arena. So oftentimes when it comes to something like sales, where if you walk in and say you do sales training, sales management, sales outsourcing, whatever, nobody's going to hug you, right? Nobody gives a shit about you. That right? You might as well be like a financial advisor at that point.
Anyway,
yeah. So you almost have to invade their world. So oftentimes what I would ask clients is, where are you hanging out at? Online, in person? Where's the place you're hanging your hat? And then doing everything I could to get into those rooms. And not be seen as the sales trainer, but as the go-to guy for anybody who needs anything sales related.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I read something in a comment on LinkedIn, and I can't remember exactly how it was phrased, but something to the effect of, go ahead and give it all away for free. Tell everyone all the time how to do everything, because they aren't going to be able to implement it themselves always, and they're still going to need you. So as much as you can give it away for free and like tell the knowledge, tell your systems, tell the things, then that just builds your notoriety is not the word I'm looking for.
Credibility.
My brain's not working. Yes. I mean, like it builds your brand, I mean, then people know what your process is, what your philosophies are.
Yeah, I really wish I was as active on social media when I did sales training as I am now. I think it would have been a completely different world. Now, I sold a lot during my years doing sales training, but the idea of building a loud personal brand where, like, Peyton and I are in New York right now all because of LinkedIn, I think would have drastically changed how much business I did if I was able to do what I did locally, running a bunch of free workshops and webinars and the like, tons of networking. Doing it online and scale like I am now, I think I'd be a completely different damn world. And I can tell you, like, meeting Melissa Long and companies like that, where you're working with the world's largest knife sharpening company, all because a district sales manager saw you online, followed, reached out, is just insane to me. So I would, in addition to all this go all in on LinkedIn at a minimum and really start building a personal brand by doing what ABC said and teaching and giving it all away. The one thing that I think sets like a y'all's company versus like what I did with Sandler is y'all are coming with your own wisdom and knowledge, where I would have came from the Sandler methodology and teaching the Sandler way. I think that gives you guys an edge on what you're doing, because you're really just breaking down what you've done your entire career, which just matters.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the distinctions that's difficult to draw. And I think, Ashley, you probably find it as well, which is, I certainly do sales training, but I'm not a sales trainer by profession. It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's getting in and it's managing the people, it's building the systems, it's driving the culture. Right. And I'll do sales training each week as I'm managing that sales team. But I'm not a sales trainer. And that's, the sort of the way that, and other advisors have said the same thing to me in sales acceleration. When you say I'm a fractional sales leader, they don't think about the bigger piece that we do. They think about that small piece, because you just say, well, you must be a sales trainer, Ashley.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe look at flipping call yourself a fractional VP of RevOps.
Okay.
I mean, that's a more accurate example, right, of what you really are doing, because you're coming in and owning that whole side. If you're, I mean, for the most part, right, because you're owning the sales enablement, you're owning the sales training, you're owning the operations part of the revenue. It sounds like from what you said about like the CEOs coming in that are still managing the whole sales process, they're probably also still managing a lot of the marketing, and that needs to come over to be partially with the sales side to make sure that it's aligned with the sales messages.
Yeah,
right?
isn't that the truth? Is that the biggest problem that most companies have, is that the marketing is off looking at an entirely different ICP than the salespeople?
Yep, totally.
Well, it's even a little bit bigger than that, because what you're dealing with is the CEO has always been the sales guy. They're the ones that have brought the business in and the likes. A lot of times they have no idea how to transfer those skills to the people they're bringing in and selling. They expect them to just work and do the things at the level they've been doing, and not understanding why these guys and gals can't do or mimic what they've done, because they don't understand that their business is their baby, and the salespeople are just looking for a paycheck.
I like to call it founder's magic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have an ability to attract clients in a way that a salesperson can't, and you're able to make decisions that that a salesperson won't feel comfortable making initially. In fact, I just finished a project with a company out in Sacramento in the logistics staffing business, and phenomenal founder who's grown that thing to $7 million in revenue, but could never get past it. And for 5 years, she's tried to onboard 2 or 3 different business development people and couldn't do it successfully because she couldn't knowledge transfer. So I came in, built her out a 36 page sales playbook with, everything from how we manage our pipeline, got her into a new CRM, got some AI plugged in for her to help find leads, built out ICPs, buyer personas, built out cold call and email scripts, all of that, right? And onboarded a new business development person for her over the course of 6 weeks, $100,000 in new business just in that first 6 weeks.
That's amazing.
What other questions can you ask the owner and that CEO that doesn't go straight at that sales and, hey, we need to expand sales, and it's all broken down?
Well, the thing for me is I'm not having a hard time closing when I get in front of a CEO or owner. It's getting in front of the CEO or owner that is the challenge. And it's, the model is not to cold call businesses. The model is to find those people who are close and know that there's a problem.
So the question kind of stems from what situations are they in to allow you to put yourself in those situations, to be there at the right time, to be able to talk to them. So what situations are these CEOs in that will allow you to put yourself in that situation?
Well, that's an interesting question. So are they getting loans? Are they, looking for, financing? Are they hiring? What's the red flags they're putting out as an indicator of it's time for you to step in? So on that note, one of the things that I used to do that worked really, really well, I'm going to age myself here, but I used to go to monster.com, type in VP of sales, see if they were hiring for a VP of sales. And then usually that was a good time for me to swoop in and do sales training, because if they need a VP of sales, what's their tell? That's a good right way of putting it, right? What are those moments where they're raising their hand without understanding they're raising their hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I literally just started a video DM campaign of I look up anybody who's hiring for head of sales and send a DM and say, hey, my name's Ashley. I see that you have a job posting for head of sales. I know that that is not a posting for a fractional head of sales. However, I would be more than happy to offer my services in the meantime. And maybe I can help you find that perfect person. Because that's what, if the job posting is still there, especially if it's an older job posting, it means they're struggling to find the person.
I would almost tweak that just a little bit and go with a little bit more empathetic route, where I would say, hey,
that wasn't the whole message, but
I'm sure it sounds perfect when you do it, but if I were doing it, I would say, hey, I see you're looking for a head of sales, VP of sales. I know how much that sucks trying to find that role and making sure you get the right person, right thing, right time. Totally empathetic to that. If you would like some help in that process, maybe I could step in at a fractional, right? Then offer your services, but go for more of, I get it, it sucks doing that particular thing. Just to twist the screws a little bit more.
Or even, Sean, who would they be hiring if they're trying not to admit that they need the help with the sales? Like, what are they looking for if they are having trouble admitting that sales is where they need help? I'm asking because I'm trying to think of who that would be. Like, what's the other way that they would be going about trying not to admit that they need sales help? What other Band-Aid am I looking for?
Yeah, I think, as you said that, the first thing I thought of is, are they joining associations? Are they, going to events? One of the things that I try to look for often is, are they investing in themselves or their team? So are they going to a Tony Robbins conference, which I think going to help shit with sales, right? So what were the places that they were spending their money versus spending their money on, sales training, what they needed? And now, in the day and age of AI, you can literally go to ChatGPT and go, what do people spend their money on versus what I do? And likely get a hell of a list of places you could, stick your head in. And all of these, when you find them, man, this is all content. So you can go speak directly to it and go, if you're hiring salespeople, here's likely some of the biggest struggles you're facing. Here's some of the things I did when I was hiring salespeople, right? And literally walk them right through it.
But going back to the situation as well, is if you're going to go with these building your own stages, you know the specific situations that these people are in and what network they're trying to surround themselves to solve this problem. You start surrounding yourself with this network as well. And so when you launch that webinar, everyone in that situation sees it and they're able to get that person to you. So you're kind of starting to surround yourself with the people that are involved in the same situation and become known as that person that, hey, I can fix your sales problems.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just submitted a speaker. What's the word I'm looking for, Ashley? So SHRM, the local SHRM chapter.
Yeah.
I went in and put a proposal in for speaking at their next conference. In the situation that I have uncovered over the last several weeks is that every B2B business sales have either plateaued, stalled, or declining. And what a lot of these companies are the situation they're in is that their sales team, they hired these people pandemic, post-pandemic, and ended up with comp plans that were heavy on base salary because the hiring market was so tight. And so the proposal was to how do you right size your comp plan? How do you sell it into the sales team effectively?
Yep.
So
that's the type of content that you want to be out there teaching and marketing in your webinars and such, right? Not standard sales tactics. You want to speak to the leaders of sales, right? How are you strategically helping them with those type of issues? And I think, as far as stages go as well, Sean, virtual stages, a webinar, a workshop is great. But if you're talking about, I'll say bigger than a solopreneur type organization, they have a little bit of staff. The CEO looks at themselves a little bit differently, and they are less likely to go to webinars and workshops and such, right? So you might want to think about format too, right? Like maybe it's a roundtable event, right? Where you're talking about those high level strategies, right? It's thinking about how you actually get those people into the room, because most CEOs that have a little bit of staff, they don't have time to go to a webinar.
Yep.
That's a great point. Because one of the things we used to do when doing sales training is we would do workshops, and we'd come up with a list of a couple hundred local CEOs by going through book a list and everything else. And then we'd go through an 8-week process to try and put 20 of these CEOs in a room. And part of the pitch was, hey, come hang out with 19 other CEOs.
Yep.
So there was more than, hey, we're going to teach you, try and sell you some shit. You're networking with people that are in the exact same, place you are.
Yeah.
And the networking sold more than the actual training did. That's how we got the people there.
The beauty of doing it that way is you're going to get really two types of people, in my opinion, at a roundtable type of event, where either they have a lot to share, right, best practice about whatever the subject matter is, or they're there to learn from those other people. And in either case, whatever value they take from it, be it from you or from the other attendees, it's all going to be attributed back to you because you did the inviting, right? You are the one that brought all of those people together.
So you're suggesting rather than marketing this,
direct invites.
Yep. Also, Sean, there are organizations like in Indianapolis, there's one called Powder Keg that's a community, and it's an invite only community. And there are specifications like you have to have $1 million in revenue or $2 million in funding and be VP level or higher, or have been referred in from another partnership group. And they have sponsors for their events, they have a quarterly summit, and they have sponsors for that. And after talking to the CEO last month, he's like, literally anything that has anything to do with revenue is very important right now. Like they all need more revenue. And so being in those rooms, especially if you can speak in those rooms or do a teach, like like an aside teach. The way they do their summit is the new way they're doing is 9 to 5, but there are like these breakout teaching sessions and then networking on the off time in like a co-working building where there's a bunch of people. So it's like 200 guys in this community. Guys, that's terrible. There are 200 human beings in this community who come together for these quarterly summits. And it's a great room to be in for somebody like you.
Well, I said all the guys, actually. Geez, holy cow.
I know, oh my God. I say guys. I mean everyone when I say that.
Hey, no, I'm with young guys, actually.
Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing. You can sit and make 200 cold calls to those same CEOs in that room, or you can get to stand in front of them and talk about it for a minute. And that's a whole lot better way to open up with your face and your voice and your energy than to cold call them. But then also call them all afterwards when you get the list. You know what I mean? So, but it's such a good, I just feel like it's such a good way to be in front of your ICP, you know? I mean, that's who your ICP is.
Question, how do you find those organizations?
Use your network. Use your network. And so like, imagine going to your chapter meeting and you're constantly saying, hey, I'm looking for events, associations, groups that are like X, and give them the details. Like, everybody forgets that when they introduce themselves, like the Champions 30, there's so much more you can ask for versus just constantly asking for your fucking client, right? So think about it. Where do I need to leverage my network to get access versus getting introductions, right? So total opportunity.
Yeah, so there's an interesting one there, Donnie, which is in the Champions in the 30, right? And Serena pulled together a group of about a dozen of us that are fractionals and coaches and we're going to meet on a regular basis to talk about how to go about, you know, more effectively networking. One of the challenges that we have as fractionals is that many of the people that are in our networks don't understand what a fractional person does.
Well, because fractional has also been bastardized, right? So fractional is supposed to go in and replace a role for a short period of time.
Yes.
And what it's become is a consultant or a coach and all these things versus a true fractional.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're working on how do we more effectively explain what we do in 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I don't think that's as important in a B2B game. So
but it isn't like, you know, so I want to leverage my SCN membership, you know, as effectively as I possibly can.
So this is the way I've always looked at it, that especially when I did sales training, right? Once they understood that I did sales training, which is different than what you do, right? It's a portion of what you do. I didn't care about explaining beyond that point. I just wanted them people to bring my name up when sales became part of the conversation, right? As long as they brought my name up when sales became part of the conversation, I didn't want them trying to explain what I do or understand over the top what I do, because they're going to fuck it up. I just want them to be listening for a sales pain point of some sort and then bring my name up when they go, hey, that sounds like you're going through a moment. Have you ever talked to Donnie about that? And trying to get my network to understand what I did from a sales training standpoint, they make up all the wrong words and everything else. So I spent more time trying to just open doors and say, hey, if you ever hear anybody talk about sales in any capacity, bring my name up, right? And that is a way more effective than trying to teach them what fractional means, if that makes sense.
So your suggestion is that when the SCN, the Champions 30 comes, I say, you know, who I'm looking to network with, and then simply, if the word sales comes up in a conversation, refer me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everybody wastes their breath trying to explain to that room what they do. That room is not going to hire you, right? No. So we've got to teach them how to bring our name up, how to refer, how to introduce us, right? And so it's trigger words, it's pain points, it's those moments when they're running across somebody and this is said, they instantly start thinking of you. So when I was doing sales training, all I tried to do is teach sales everywhere I could. I created a lot of my own events, a lot of my own workshops, went to association, did a lot of things. The flip for you is to start doing the same thing, but towards the CEO. Start talking about the things of why can't your sales team perform at the level you do, right? Why can't you onboard? Why do you have such high turnover? All those pain points of them, and get known for the guy that can fix all those things.
Yeah.
Right. But
say keeping it simple in your 30 seconds is also a power move. Once you start over explaining your 30 seconds, people are just lost in your words. So what key word do you want people to stick with them as you say your 30 seconds? The whole education part, that's what the one-on-one and virtual coffees are for. That's where you get to know each other and the different spaces that you can help each other in. But the 30 seconds, I literally will do a 10-second and say, hey, I'm Jessica. I build websites. This is who I'm looking for. And I pass it back.
Yeah, because all the fluff after I do sales management.
I also think.
Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead, Ash. We there?
I think she froze.
Oh, all the fluff past the I do X is fluff. And it's a natural sales maneuver or maneuver because we're so for some reason like naturally wired that if this person understands what I do, they'll buy from me. It's not intentional, but we don't know how to do it otherwise. So we default to let me over explain this almost like a pitch, because if I say the right words, maybe you'll hire me. And it's done on a completely subconscious level because we forget the people that we're talking to right now are not the people that are going to hire us. So we need to spend more time helping them understand how to bring our name up. And one of my things that I've done since even before sales training and way before Success Champions is I would spend my one-on-ones coaching and really helping them with their business. And what that's done is I was teaching them right in the moment what I did and got them to bring my name up.
Yeah, I mean, I did that. Yes, I'm with you 100% on that, Donnie. But it's interesting. I forget who I was chatting with the other day, or maybe it was we were on wherever it was. It was when we were doing our webinar last week. I said, listen, what do you do when you get in front of these people? I said, I help them. It's all about them. Let me learn everything I can about your practice. Let me help you build. And I don't talk about what I do at all. I just share with them how I do it by helping them build their sales strategy for themselves.
Yep. It works because they get a real-time understanding of what you can actually do. And because you offer them so much value, your name gets brought up on a more regular basis. And some of it sometimes is quickly being able to identify who you're sitting across from and go, how can I bring them value? And then how can I get information from them? So things I often try and figure out is, okay, outside of SCN, where are you spending your time? Where are you networking? Where are you hanging out? Right. And then finding those places and then asking specifically what type of people hang out in those places. Is there somebody in that association or wherever there are that I should meet? And I'm telling people oftentimes, and this is a great way to get people to introduce you, is there somebody I need to meet? I'm happy to reach out. I just need to know who that person is. And they'll go, oh, well, why don't I just introduce you? Right? Yeah. People just don't think that way.
And what's going to happen is when you make those introductions, your name is going to continually come up in that conversation because you were the person, the connector in that conversation. So now they're talking about you and you're not even in the room.
100%. Yeah. There's a lot of power in becoming the person that can open doors for others. So, when I did sales training, like in Fort Worth, Texas, I was known. I mean, I sat on nonprofit boards. I, association boards, was in private clubs. I mean, everywhere I went, I could get you to almost anybody. And in doing so, because I could open up the right doors, I was invited into a lot of the right conversations, which will help me land a lot of very cool clients. I mean, the largest deal I ever closed in my life is because I introduced the largest custom home builder in Fort Worth to the world's largest lumber company. Because they did so much damn business together, I got a chance to sit down with the CEO of a $4 billion freaking lumber company.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. But a lot of it is, I think if I could have done locally or done online what I did locally in Fort Worth, I would have built just a way bigger sales training business. So a lot of what I'm trying to do now is replicate what I did locally, which was go be a part of associations, go get on all the stages, go become the face. Right now, for me, of networking is where I'm trying to aim. But if I'm in your shoes, I try and go become the face of sales. And when anybody thinks of sales, process, systems, training, whatever, they instantly think of your name.
Yeah. Yes. So here's the question. How do you scale that as a solopreneur?
You become the face, you bring on trainers. You bring on other people that can teach all the things and do all the things you can do. Your job is to bring everybody to the table.
But the trick is, while you're being the face and the operator, you have to realize that, hey, at some point I need to flip this and turn this into something that someone else can implement for me. So I can be hands off, and that's where the real freedom comes in.
Yeah, so the guy that I went to work for Sandler, he built a phenomenal practice, got to a place where he was maxed out on training. So he, recruited me up to come in. I spent 2 years selling for him so he could do more training. And then he looked at me and said, you can't make any more money unless you become a trainer. So then I started, selling and training, right? And working all the way through it. So it's the same process is all the things you're doing. Your biggest job is to bring people to the table. And being that you're part of sales acceleration, imagine if you perfect bringing in clients on a regular basis, how many of those other sales acceleration guys would love to just come work for you because you're able to bring in enough clients on a regular basis. Because that's everybody who's solopreneuring a small business, their biggest struggle is how do I find more and more clients? And anytime I sit across from a bookkeeper, the first thing I tell them is go figure out how to bring all the clients in and then go hire other bookkeepers to do the work. And you keep going to get more frequent clients.
ABC, what do you think?
I think that we are great at teaching sales and sometimes really bad at selling ourselves. And so that getting over that hump, like thinking through that part, is the mental part that people who are great at sales need to get past. Because while I know that what I teach works, it can be really hard for me to say that, for me to put those in words. So like you're talking about your Champions 30, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree that like sometimes just people knowing sales and associating that with Sean is kind of the way to go. I mean, if you ask people two things about Ashley, they would say sales and yoga. Those are the two things that people know about me.
Yep.
Do they know how I sell? Maybe if they've followed my content long enough. Do they know my systems? Do they know anything about that? Nope. But the referrals that I get are because people are like, Ashley is the person, she is the person in my network who is sales. So send them right to her. And then maybe they're not a right fit for me and maybe I pass them along. Another really good referral partner that you can think about too is there are sales trainers and sales coaches who coach only on sales management. So they coach only top level, right? They coach only this level. But maybe that company needs something different as far as the VP level, right? So they've got their mid-level managers getting trained by this company, but something's wrong up here. So making making friends with those sales coaching groups and things like that is that I've gotten multiple referrals that way. Only mine goes the other direction. So they coach the mid-level managers, but their team needs coaching. And so I get the referral for the team coaching. So if you go the other direction and say there's a break somewhere between CEO and mid-level managers that something is not happening and they need help in that respect, because their mid-level managers come to us for training and they're all bitching about what's happening up here. So that could be good referrals in too, but like just not, and I'm sure you probably already do this because you strike me as the type of person, but not seeing other fractionals and other salespeople as competition, but as partners and as people that are on your side and like trying to figure out your best fit for you. Just the same.
Totally.
And also, don't say no to opportunities that sound weird and like they're not the right fit, because they could actually end up being a really great fit. Like my dentist thing, like who the hell, dentist business brokers? Like I never would have picked that, but I said yes to an opportunity and it ends up being a place that I have some good referrals and some good places to go with it. So just not getting yourself so niched down into a fit that you say no to something.
Yes.
In the community, what you were saying about how do you find those communities? I mean, I would do a Google search of just like member communities in your area, and then look those each up and see what they're about. Because I don't know how Powder Keg is listed. I didn't Google them because I was there when they were created 10 years ago. But those are the type of communities that you want to look for.
And don't sleep on your local micro LinkedIn influencers. I mean, sitting here in New York is because I befriended Melissa Cohen. And we've become good friends, and, here I got invited up, and because of that, the number of other people that are promoting my name out, this event, and the likes continue to build my following, my people, the people. And oftentimes, in the words of Gary Vee, we're just trying to get attention. Like, how do we get people's eyeballs on what we're saying, right? And so look around Atlanta and go, okay, who are my micro-influencers in Atlanta? How do I get connected with them? Should we potentially post an event with some of these micro-influencers just to expand my overall reach? So
when you go into LinkedIn on a search, and are you just looking for people who have large networks, or
I'm looking for that and engagement? So okay. Do they have a huge following, and is that following actually, like you watch somebody like ABC, she puts out a post and the comments go fucking bananas, right? So that's what I'm looking for is, yes, they have a following. There's a way we can align, and people are highly engaging on their content. And they're engaging on their content, not just on her yoga shit with their daughter. They're engaging when she talks about sales or anything else too. So they're really leaning into her stuff. So that's what I try and look for. So somebody like Melissa Cohen, with her post that just blow up because she does nothing but highlight other people is just amazing. Somebody like Liam Darmody, right? People are just leaning in on his content. And then you throw a wild card in the fucking mix and you put somebody like Paul McCarthy, who's posting random shit on the planet. I don't know that I would do a workshop per se with him, but he's damn sure somebody I'm going to make sure that I'm connected to help get my brain more exposure.
How did you find Melissa Cohen?
By showing up regularly on LinkedIn. And I think she commented on one of my posts first. So okay. What we're going to see is a lot of these micro influencers, and Ash back me up on this, is the more you show up, the more they find you. The more interaction, the more relationships you're going to build. I'm often going and commenting on other people's stuff as to build those relationships out.
Yeah.
Well, and Sean, you would hear Liam would tell you that he has his ICP prospecting list built out in Sales Navigator. And when he's on regular LinkedIn, he's playing with his friends. And so he goes into Sales Navigator to do business. But then he knows that his echo chamber of his friends on LinkedIn are mostly a lot of what he's going to see in his feed. And he's still supporting and commenting on those people and engaging with those people. But he knows that he can go to this setup feed that he has on Sales Navigator to do business. Yeah. And he's still commenting and supporting. It looks the same, It's just making sure that he pulls himself out of the echo chamber to do the stuff he knows he needs to do in Sales Navigator. And then he can come back and like, you know, chirp it up with the treehouse over on regular LinkedIn anytime he wants.
So I was feeling the echo chamber a lot these past couple of weeks. And so I was talking to ChatGPT last night, and it was actually able to pull me a list of profiles of people that I should be commenting on and engaging with outside of my circle. Now I haven't gone, this was like at 11 o'clock last night, so I haven't gone through the list to see how valid the list was, but it was kind of cool to see that it was actually able to pull some profiles that aligned with people I should be talking to.
Definitely.
All right, well, we got 4 minutes before we got to get out of here. So, Sean, I'm curious, what are some of the biggest takeaways from today hanging out with us?
You know, one is to spend a lot more time in my week on LinkedIn, both creating content, commenting content, engaging with content. And yeah, interestingly, I was on a virtual coffee with a young guy who is building out a coaching practice where he's helping solopreneurs with their networking. But he has no go-to-market strategy. He has no idea how to price himself. And so we're bartering. I'm going to coach him on how to build his practice and sell into the people he wants to sell to. He's going to help me with content creation.
Nice.
On the backside. So, really lean into LinkedIn. Lean into finding those associations, those groups that can give me a stage. And I took a lot of notes, guys. And I think, Ashley, your suggestion, I'm going to try it for a month or two, is to change my LinkedIn profile to fractional revenue operations as opposed to fractional sales leadership.
Might work for you. I mean, just sounds to me like that's more what you're doing is the whole entire side of revenue. So that would be VP of Rev Ops to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the last thing, Donnie, what you talked about, and I think Ashley may even commented on this, is to spend some time going into monster.com, Indeed, whatever, look for VPs of sales, make the outreach to say, hey, listen, can I help you?
Yep.
Yeah, I know Serena Williams just did this not long ago, going in on COO and gotten some phenomenal conversations from it. Like, companies don't know this is an option to go fractional versus hiring, right? We hear fractional all the time. We're like, fuck, I'm going to go back fractional, but they're not hearing it. The companies are.
That is so true. Like 3 years ago, I didn't know what fractional meant. People were talking about it around me, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So it really is the truth that there are people that just don't even know what it is out there yet.
100%. Well, let's talk about upcoming events. What events do you guys have coming up so we can market and promote those out and get us out of here on time?
I actually have to coach in 1 minute, so I have to jump. Sean, it was great. We'll talk soon. We have a call on the calendar.
You.
That was just fucking, I'm out.
Well, I won't go that fast. I'm doing Audience Alchemy tomorrow. So going to be teaching folks how to do virtual events. Sean, if you're interested, stop by. 3 p.m. Eastern on Zoom.
Awesome. And I don't have anything going right now. I'm just trying to make it through the last week of school. So
nice. I don't think Peyton pulled up fast enough, but if you are interested in seeing what we're doing here in New York, we will be live on my profile between 11:30, 12:30 Eastern time or Central time. I don't know. So look around that point. Fucking time zones. And if you want to see it live, it's going to be live on my profile. So we'll really be blasting it out there. And then, of course, the Badass Business Summit, September 17th through the 19th in Fort Worth, Texas. Going to be a rad time. Sean, thanks for hanging out with us, brother. Been really good conversation. Y'all go have an amazing Badass week. I'm going to go find me breakfast, coffee, and maybe a shot. Love you, man. See you. Bye.